Welcome to the Tuning In podcast, where we talk alignment, intuition, and our internal guidance system. We cover woo-woo topics in an approachable and practical way. I'm your host, Dana Evans of Alignful.com. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Tuning In podcast. Let me tell you, this episode has been challenging for me to record. I am going to go ahead and throw Mercury retrograde under the bus here on this one. So I was inspired and ready and excited to record this episode on Friday last week. And it is now Tuesday, the day before you will be hearing it, because a lot of things happened. So I had this amazing call with some of the James Wedmore coaches. We call ourselves the Woo Crew. And after that call, I was just so inspired, and you'll hear all about this on the episode. Like, it was the most magical call. And like, this may have been the best Zoom call I've ever had in my entire life. And I'm not kidding. And I want you all to experience something similar, and you can, which we talk about in the episode. But that was Thursday evening, and Friday I was like, oh my God, I am going to be ahead of the game. I am going to record my podcast early. I know exactly what I want to say. I feel so inspired. I feel so connected. I feel so amazing. And I sit down and plug in my microphone and start my recording. And I get a notification on my computer that says, unplug USB device that is taking up too much energy. And I was like, huh? I'm like, well, that's a mistake. Ignore. And so I hit record. It won't let me record. So I unplug the USB and then plug it back in. Same alert. I'm like, what the heck? Unplug it. And then I feel it. And the USB cord that connects my Blue Yeti microphone to my computer is hot. Like, the rubber cord is hot. And then I unplug it from the microphone and it is like on fire. I look, and the little part of the microphone cord that connects into the Blue Yeti mic is bent. And I, to be honest, had noticed that before. It happened because Mia, it's my fault. I had left it plugged in to the back of the microphone, and Mia knocked the microphone over and it landed on the cord and like bent the metal piece out of the rubber. But I was like, this is no big deal. I just shoved it back in and plugged it in. Clearly it's a big deal. It didn't work. So I looked through our cord bin of like the cord graveyard. I don't know if you all have a cord graveyard in your home, but we have a bin that has a million cords that just don't have homes, but we didn't have a matching one. So then I go to Amazon and I'm like, okay, Amazon, get me a cord ASAP. And Amazon's like, all right, I got you. $7 cord. It'll be here Saturday. I'm like, thanks, Amazon. So I close my computer. I'm like, I'm not recording. Well, then Saturday comes and goes, no cord. I'm like, oh, that's weird. Okay. Sunday comes and goes, no cord. I'm like, what the heck? But I wasn't that concerned, okay? Then Monday, yesterday comes, I'm like, all right, I'm checking the mail. No cord. I check Amazon. It says it will be there by Wednesday at 9 p.m. And I'm like, what the hell? So then I realized yesterday, which was a very full day, that I have to record the episode with my AirPods. So the quality may be off. I also have an interview to do today with a special guest that you'll be hearing from in a couple of weeks. And I also have to use the AirPods. Whatever, right? Anyway, then I finally sat down here today to use GarageBand to record. And GarageBand will not pick up my AirPods. Like, it will not recognize them. So I'm on a different online platform called Zencastr doing my recording. So there's your, like, my ordeal of getting this podcast recorded. I'm like, it's such a good episode. Like, why can I not get it out? Anyway, so this is episode 56. I am sharing with you the most magical Zoom call I've ever had in my life, and how you can create one as well. Without further ado, here's this week's episode. Hello, everybody. Welcome. I am so happy to be here, finally sharing this episode with you. So I have a group of coaches that I coach with for James Wedmore, and we have a little subgroup that we call the Woo Crew. And we had a meetup the other night for one of our dear friends, Katie, who she's been on the podcast. Actually, she has the second most downloaded episode of the entire podcast, if you can believe that. So she's a really magical human being. And if you didn't actually catch her podcast episode, you can listen to it. It's episode number 46, and it's called Trusting Yourself Completely and Using Your Inner Voice to Make Massive Decisions with Katie Huey. So she's a coach for James Wedmore, and we did a little meetup with her and some of the other coaches. It was for her baby shower. So when we got together, we were kind of going around and just catching up a little bit. And then one of the coaches, Candace, who's also been on the podcast, I don't have that episode right in front of me, but she suggested that we do something a little bit different. She has these fun little mindfulness cards that you can use in order to steer the conversation in a certain way. And so she pulled out cards. She's like, let's do these. And the cards are called Rethink Card Deck Mindful Conversation Starters. And I will link the Amazon link here for you. So she pulls out a card and it's all about gratitude. And it says, look at the person next to you and tell them a compliment. Tell them something you like about them. And we're like, oh, that's fun. So we started by just going one person. Like I looked at Christine and I said, Christine, this is what I love about you. You're a shining light. She really is. She's magical. She's the most beautiful smile. And whenever she's in the room, it feels like she turns a light switch on and brightens everyone who's around her. And then Candace was like, well, this is hard. I want to compliment Christine too. And someone else was like, yeah, me too. Like, we don't just want to compliment one person. So we decided, and like, this is such a get yourself some friends who you can just sit around complimenting each other all day. I mean, this was amazing. We decided that there were 6 of us on the call. So each person, like Christine had around, and all 5 of us went around and told Christine what we love about her. And then the next person, right? I sat there and all 5 of the people told me what they love about me. So, sounds pretty cool, right? Here's what was so interesting about this process is when it was me sharing what I love about other people, it was so exciting. But I noticed this was like a whole process of witnessing, and I talked to the other coaches too about their experience. So I'm sharing like our collective experience with this experiment. Is when I was like gearing up to compliment someone, like I, of course, naturally had beautiful compliments to say, but then I would hear everyone else's. I'm like, oh gosh, I hope mine's good enough. I hope that they know how much I care about them, that I say the words right, that it matches what everyone else says. And then I'm like, that's so weird because if it's coming from my heart and it's just pouring out of me, of course it's perfect. It's not about comparing your compliment to someone else's compliment because your compliment is uniquely your experience of that person. Does that make sense? So the mind in me wanted to judge my ability to compliment someone else based on what other people said. But that's impossible because I can only share my direct experience of someone. So that was one thing that came up. And you could see too, like as we're going around complimenting people, the way they receive the compliments. You know, some compliments landed a lot easier, some felt a little more challenging to hear. One person that we shared, we all complimented her. Afterwards, she said, you guys are telling me all these things, and I just feel like I don't do enough for any of you. And I said, well, that's what you think, but here's the thing. We're only mirroring what we receive and what we are experiencing. We're not making this up. So our experience of you is that you're like way more than enough in terms of like what you give from a friendship. Like you're just amazing at giving and bringing us together. I mean, she organized this whole event, right? And so it's interesting for her is she always feels like she has to do more and more and more because she doesn't feel like she's doing enough. And yet we're showering her with these compliments of, wow, we can't believe how much you do for us. Like you really show up more than even could be asked. So that was amazing, right? Then it got to me, and all of a sudden I was like, oh gosh, people are going to compliment me. And here is what my experience, the mind of me was saying. You know, when like you're on stage or people are on stage and it's like everyone's done a talk or something, and then afterward, like the whole event's over and they're like, all right, let's hear it for Christine, let's hear it for Candace, let's hear it for Dana. And everyone claps, but like there's an audible difference between the level of clapping for each guest, which then the mind perceives as like that guest is better or not. I literally, as I was waiting to receive my compliments, started to get nervous that like the clapping would be quieter than the other people's clapping. That like people wouldn't have as many nice things to say about me as they did about the other people. And then they shared them about me. And oh man, I just got a little dizzy recalling it. It was really overwhelming and magical to hear each of these 5 women that I just love and respect and adore to reflect back what they love and respect and adore about me. To just honestly and fully and completely share how they see me. And I got really emotional, and it was really so much of what I needed to hear. But it's the things that, here's what I noticed from this, and I'll share a couple other people's stories as well. But it's the things that we doubt most in ourselves because they might be really natural to us, for example. They're often the things that people love most about us. For example, every single person was like, Dana, your Instagram stories bring me so much joy. I love watching them. I love seeing your beauty routine. I love seeing the food you cook. I love your dances. Give us more dances. I love how you share. I feel like I'm invited into your world and I love being a part of that. To me, my Instagram stories, it's really natural for me, but I also judge them a lot. I'm like, I should make it more relevant. People aren't going to care. I'm boring them with my details. I'm oversharing. Who do I think I am to post dance videos? All of that stuff goes through my head. And here they're saying, this is such a special, we love watching your stories. I'm like, wow. Because really, my dream business would be to attract people to work with me because they are attracted to me as a person. And they watch my Instagram stories and like have this behind the scenes look at my life. And they're like, I want to be a part of that. Like, I want to work with Dana. I want her to coach me. Like, I want to feel that freedom that she feels. Like, I want to have that confidence, like do the dancing, follow my inner voice to like cook and all of that. And that was mirrored back to me. I was like, oh my God. Another thing was mirrored back to me was that like my energy is magnetic. And I'm like, as a projector, you guys, we've done episodes about being a projector in human design. Like the best thing I can do is be a magnet. And to be a magnet means to just like do my own thing, stand on my island, have a lot of fun, and enjoy what I'm doing and let other people witness that and be like, ooh, I want to be a part of that. And that was mirrored back to me. And I was like, oh my gosh, so I'm not failing at everything. And, there were just so many beautiful things that they shared. And I was really touched to hear that. It meant so much. And at that moment in particular, last Thursday, like it was exactly what I needed to hear. And it wasn't like, I like your shirt. No, these were deep, heartfelt compliments. And I spoke to Candace afterward and, I spoke to everyone afterward. And one person was like, I was getting nervous too, like when my time was up, right, to be complimented, that people just wouldn't have as much good to say. And she said, but then I realized if I have this much amazing things to say about these people, of course they have something amazing to say about me because this is a relationship, right? It's reciprocal. It's hard to feel that overwhelming of like true emotions if the other person doesn't reflect that back and feel them as well. And of course, we had amazing things to say about her. One of the other coaches was saying, what was interesting is I felt like all of the areas in my life that I judge myself the hardest in, she's like being a parent, being a coach, being cool, that actually came up. We're all like, oh my God, you're so cool. Like, if you can say cool, like, you're just so cool, you're chill, you're easygoing, you're a magical parent. I told her, I was like, you make it seem possible to raise teenagers. And that is like a really huge magical thing to witness. Like, I am afraid to have kids because of the teenager age, not any time before that. But you make it seem possible. And she said to me that it felt like all of the things that she's the hardest on herself with, all of the things that she doubts most and that she tries to overcompensate are, in fact, the areas that we all just said, you're so natural and inspiring. And we love seeing that in you. And she said to me, she's like, so I'm wondering, is that reflected because I work hardest in those areas? Or is it because I'm natural in those areas? Or is it because those are the things that I spend my most time worrying about or whatever? And I said, well, which story feels best to you? Because remember, we're just telling ourselves a story. You're never going to have the actual data that says the reason people are complimenting you on being a good mom is because you try your hardest and you're the hardest on yourself and you're the most judgmental on yourself about that. Right? We're never going to have the data of is it that or because you're just naturally a good mom. And what does it mean to be a good mom, right? Like you could just go down a whole rabbit hole there. And I said, honestly, if you think the reason that we're complimenting and seeing you in these areas is because you tried the hardest, I said, you just described every area of your life because you got compliments across the board. So that kind of throws it out the window because you can't try hardest in every single area. And have you considered that you really just are naturally gifted at these things? And what would it look like to stop trying so hard? Wah, wah. Lessons to myself as well, right? The things that we are the most natural at tend to be the things that we dismiss and or judge ourselves the most harshly because we feel like we haven't worked hard enough to deserve to have that natural ability. Okay? So to have someone compliment you in what you're naturally amazing at is just so powerful. And to have spent that time with 6 women and to see the compliments and appreciation that flowed out of each person toward each individual was amazing. Like what we all said about Candace was completely different than what we all said about me, which was completely different than what we all said about Amber and Christine and Katie and Kimmy. And it was all from the heart. We are not the same person. We don't need to be good at the same things, right? We don't need to be respected or seen for the same things. We are naturally, and you, my friend who is listening, are naturally beautiful and shining out what is most uniquely you. And whether or not you are trying super hard or not, those things are going to show up in your life. That part of you is going to show up, it's going to shine, and other people will mirror that back to you. And so, what if we stop trying so hard to earn compliments by doing good things? What if we started being more of ourselves, our full effing selves? What if we just started embodying what we're most naturally gifted at and double down on that and just allow that to flow out of us? What would happen then? Imagine how much more your self, your true self, would shine through if you stopped judging it and working so hard to prove it. If I can say anything, it's that this call, it challenged me to look at myself through the eyes that these people that I love and respect see me. And that's very different than how we look at ourselves in day-to-day life. We don't see ourselves through the eyes of love and compassion and admiration and appreciation. But the thing is, we see ourselves through judgment and criticism and not good enough and not worthy and trying to prove. But there's not enough effort and proving we can do to undo who we truly are. And who we truly are is what we're naturally going to be if we're stopped trying to prove ourselves. And that, even through all the efforting and proving, the who we truly are is what people truly see in us. And that's what ends up shining through regardless. And that is the beauty of having relationships where you can be yourself. Don't you see the relationships in which you're working the hardest in to get love, right? To be seen, to be appreciated, to prove how good you are at being X, Y, or Z, or doing X, Y, or Z. Those aren't the truest relationships because you're not allowing your truest, most authentic, core depth of your soul self to be. When you find people that allow you to be you and encourage you to be you, those are your people. When you finally start saying, F it, I'm not performing for people anymore, this is me, take it or leave it, then you'll find your people. You'll either be more of a magnet, or you will be more of a magnet for those who want you, flaws and all, and you'll be more of a magnet in repelling those who don't want you, flaws and all. And that's a powerful force that you have. When you stop trying to put on an act to be something that others want, and you start being yourself, you will naturally start attracting those who want you in relationships, in business, right? Friendships, partnerships, working relationships, coaches. It's just going to happen. And the trying and efforting will slow down. You don't have to try so hard. And that's a big relief because you just get to be you. You don't have to worry about how it looks to others because they signed up for you and you signed up for you. Building relationships trying to prove that you're something else is exhausting. I mean, if people were complimenting me on that call about like how organized and on top of things I am, then I would honestly feel a little sad because that's not who I am. And that would reflect back to me that I'm trying to be someone else to these people. You see, it's all about you. It's all about me. They're just a mirror. That's the beauty of friendships, of relationships, of true relationships, is they're a mirror for who you are. They mirror that back to you. So yeah, if they're like, Dana, you're so organized, you're so on top of it. I love how put together you are, and your Instagram feed is so clean and tidy, and your stories, I only see the best in you, and I love that. No, that's not me. If this podcast has shown anything, right? If my Instagram stories show anything, that is not me at the core. And I don't want people thinking that about me because I don't want to have to hold up that standard. Because then if anyone truly got to know me, it would be very confusing to them to know the real me after they saw a different version that I was trying to perform for them in the beginning. Just less work all around, right? You know, I'm all about that life of less work. So anyway, to kind of sum this up, first of all, stepping into who you are without fear of what others think of you. And then opening yourself up to being seen for that. And then, of course, holding a call with magical people in your life and spend some real time complimenting each other. Go deeper. What do you see in that other person? What do you love about them? What do you respect about them? What do you admire? What do you appreciate? Because after that call, I mean, the words that I kept using were, I feel so seen. We all want to be seen for who we truly are. And it was, I mean, it brought me to tears for these magical people in my life to see me. Like, I'm like, wow, they see me. They get me. They love me for who I am and they want more of that. And I, of course, felt the same way about each of them. How often do we actually give ourselves space and time to tell those we love what we love about them? Not just a simple, I love you. What do you love about this person? When was the last time you looked someone in the eye and showered them with the type of love and affection and appreciation that you have for them? Why do we have to wait till the birthday, Mother's Day, Father's Day, deathbeds to really share all of it? To share our hearts. And it's vulnerable. That's why we can feel like we don't want to be vulnerable, because if we put it all out there, then what happens if they reject us? What does that mean about me? And let me just tell you, all it means is that you are open and honest with the way you feel about people. And you can never, never regret that, because that's speaking from your heart. Why would you lock that up? Why would you wait? And if you wait, it can be too late sometimes. So opening up that conversation, and then on the flip side, how do you receive? When someone tells you what they love about you or appreciate, or when they compliment you or thank you, do you dismiss it? Do you say, "Oh no, it was nothing. Oh, don't worry about it. Oh no, you didn't have to say that. No, don't, whatever." Do you squirrel away, or do you say thank you, or you're welcome, or wow, that feels really uncomfortable to receive, but I am open to receiving that? And don't just reflect back, "Oh, well, here's what I love about you." No, give it a moment. That's what was so interesting about this call, is I couldn't just reflect back immediately. Is I sat there while 5 different people spent time telling me what they love about me. And I just received it. Thank you. Oh, it was uncomfortable. And it was also amazing because it was able to go deeper into my heart, into my soul, to receive it at a deeper level. What does that look like for you? To be vulnerable, to share openly, and to receive completely what is seen in you from others. Can you put together a call, write a letter, send a voice memo, tell people what you love and appreciate about them? Can you thank them for being in your life? It's powerful. And I know for each of us on that call, we all said, wow, this is what I truly needed right now. And I didn't even know how much I needed it. I had no idea how much this was going to impact me at a cellular level. And I want that for each of you. I want that for each of us more often. Find that group of people, make those connections, be yourself, and then abundantly share and receive. And that's how we can really start to believe in ourselves. Because it's not surface level compliments like, you're good at this, you're good at that, right? It's like, I see you, I see who you are. And to be seen can only encourage us to be more of who we are. and to put that out into the world and attract those who truly want us and need us to be ourselves. Not a version, not a perfect image, but to be ourselves. And for that, I'm so grateful. I love you all so much. If this is something that resonates with you, please share it on Instagram. Tag me at Dana_Evans. And also, if you think this will resonate with any of your soul sisters or brothers, please share it with them and allow them to receive this information. In fact, this is a fun little game. On Instagram, tag me at Dana_Evans and tag a friend and type something out or share something that you love about that person. Tag me, tag the friend on your story or your feed, and tag and share something that you love about that person. And we can make it a whole little movement, like a compliment connection, okay? So we're going to start that and start abundantly sharing what we love about people and tagging everyone. Like, let's spread this love. Let's spread this magic. Let's make it more normal to give and receive compliments, appreciation, love, and admiration. Okay, I'll see you over on Instagram, and I will see you next week. As always, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining me on another episode of the Tuning In podcast. As always, if this would resonate with anyone you know, please share the episode. You can follow along with my journey on Instagram at Dana_Evans or find me on my website at alignful.com.